This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Sebrenah Phillips. Welcome, Sebrenah Phillips.
Well, thank you so very kindly. I'm honored to be here.
And I'm honored that you are here.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And I want people to know that we are longtime friends. She is from Levy County, where the Rosewood Massacre happened in 1923. She grew up in Chiefland, which is next door to Rosewood.
Exactly.
Her parents knew a lot about Rosewood, so she grew up to hearing about Rosewood. And her dad was a minister.
Yes.
Okay. And very known, well known,
Yes.
and respected.
Of course.
And a friend of my mother. And my mother was the teacher. The sister to the Rosewood teacher. So I'm going to let you share with us what you want us to know that you know, or just start in a place you'd like to start and talk about your experience.
Okay. Well, naturally, 1923 was way before my time, of course. But one thing about it, through history, it was a given that there were certain things that was to be discussed and certain things that were not to be discussed.
Yes.
And Rosewood was one. That's why I really never knew a lot as growing up as a kid. But as a kid, I do recall certain times people visiting and certain situations that took place in my home, naturally when there were other adults in the home.
Yes.
The children were not allowed to be in the house. And the key words were, go outside and play.
Exactly.
Well, with mom and daddy having 11 kids in that household, I'm actually number 17 because he had children before in prior marriages and unions. I would always stay behind. Mom didn't know the difference because, she probably stopped counting as to who's in the house after maybe 7 or 8. And then, of course, I stayed behind. And I would, there was no door to our bedroom, which I shared with other siblings. So I would lie up under the bed, my sister's small bed. Mm-hmm. It's something about hiding under the bed, having conversations under the bed.
Exactly.
And especially if something happened to one of us, like getting a spanking.
Yes.
We go into the bed and cry, and I was like, who did it? Where did they hit you? I'm gonna get them. Don't worry about it. I'll vindicate you. And so, but anyway, I knew that was not possible. But anyway, I would stay behind, and I would sit lay under the bed and get as close to the door without them seeing my head.
Eavesdropping,
Yeah,
right?
and being nosy.
Yeah.
But I wasn't nosy. I was very inquisitive.
Exactly.
And just satisfying the why baby part of me. Because that's what I was. I was a crybaby too sometimes, but I was a why baby. And that meant I asked a lot of questions.
Yes.
And because I asked a lot of questions, it wasn't easy for a person to just push me aside. I would have to get an answer. If you say 5 minutes, I tell Mama, well, when is 5 minutes up so that we can continue talking about what I was asking you about?
Yes.
But anyway, I remember distinctly when we had different visitors, and in particular, there were, I think it was like probably, to my recollection, I know it was 3 ladies because the couch that was against the wall that I could see. And then there was another couch that's facing that one, but I couldn't see who was on that couch. But I did see a lady, and it was distinctly a lady. She had short, curly hair. Well, not really curly. You know how you go to the hairdresser and hot curl it.
Yes.
Red lipstick, I'll never forget. And she was very energetic and emotional when she expressed herself. And in their talking, there would be times of crying. Tears would be shed. And then I was very sensitive. And I was like, why are they crying? And I'm asking questions in my mind, but not out loud. And then they would point towards 19, towards where Rosewood was. And there would be a long period of quiet crying, and my mom sobbed, the lady sobbed, and the other ladies that I could see on the couch with my mom, and then I could hear voices from the other couch.
Okay.
But I couldn't see those persons. And I just wondered what they talked about. And it was only certain times of the year that these ladies would come and visit.
Probably, do you think it was around the anniversary of Rosewood?
Yeah, and the month, roughly around what month was it?
January.
January. Yes,
December.
it was after
Leading
Christmas.
up to Christmas, yes.
Yeah.
Those were the sad times.
Right. So they would come roughly around that time. And normally Mom would fix food and eat, but I
Yeah.
never saw them eat.
Okay.
They were so overcome with emotions and everything. If they did eat, it may have been probably after I fell asleep under the bed.
Okay.
But anyway, they talked about, I would presume, Rosewood. But they always pointed towards that way. And then when they cried, I was afraid to make any noise so that I wouldn't get any in trouble. So I would like pull the covers down along the bed,
Yes.
Until they would leave. And I would try to stay as quiet as I could. Other instance, I didn't really know much about Rosewood, but there was the movie Rosewood. And I remember John Singleton, the director, and there were two other people who were the actual producers of the movie.
Yes.
And I didn't meet them, but John Singleton came to Gainesville, and Accent sponsored him to speak at the University of Florida, where you were there. I remember distinctly, and you addressed some questions that he had asked and information that he was providing. And I remember distinctly, and I looked, I was like, that's my cousin. That lady is not to be reckoned with. You told him, get your facts straight. I was like, whoa. And then I wondered, and then he says, you're the one I need to talk to. And then I was sitting there, and they just went on and on. I was just floored by everything that was going on because I never knew that, all the things that happened. And then you told him, I think you all were supposed to get together or something or whatever, but I know that eventually was scheduled by you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we talked, and when I told him he needs to get his facts together, because you know what, initially, and I don't tell anybody this, but I have the
Yes.
supporting evidence that will be in my book. Initially,
Yes.
I was contracted to do the movie. I have the contract, okay,
Wow.
and I shared some of my information, and believe it or not, they used my information, okay.
Oh
They
my
use,
goodness.
and I have the documentation of the movie director and the people that talked to me,
Yes.
and somehow, politics, okay.
Of course.
Then
Yeah.
my work was no longer interested. However, I had shared information about my aunt. I
Yes.
was super upset when this happened.
Yes.
And my mom said, "Baby, don't worry.
Yes.
There can always be a second movie. You do your own movie."
Of course.
That's what
of
my mom.
course.
And I'm not doing a movie, but I'm doing everything else. And I may end up doing a movie, because there were quite a few things that I'd like to add, more
Yes.
depth and more truth
Right.
to what has happened. But it has been a journey.
Yes.
And I'm so glad when I called you, because I remember your dad. I remember my mother
Yes.
The only person she talked to, only adult she talked to in Levy County was your father.
Was my dad.
Yes, was your dad, and they were
He
good
was a
friends.
great confidant.
Yes.
You could talk to him about anything.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't hear it again.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And people came to the house, or a journalist, and he
Yes.
wanted my mom's information. And today he still thinks he owns the Rosewood story.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. And
Well,
my
I have
mom-
a story to tell about that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, happened to be in Chiefland. It was during the time when John Singleton and everything was going on, and the news media, newspapers, and then him coming to Gainesville and everything, and you were wanting to talk to him about his facts. And I'm like, okay, I know a lot of times when you have a movie, everything is not always the way it's supposed to be, always. But anyway, he would, my dad and mom was home when I went to visit them in Chiefland that particular day. And one of my friends from my hometown, he had sent, he happened to be former deacon of mine from the church that I used to attend in Chiefland. So he sent the news reporter over to the oldest African American in the city of Chiefland,
Your
in
father.
the area. My father, Reverend John H. Phillips. And so he did. But when he came, and what angered me more than anything, my mom and dad's home, and they are to be respected, even in death. Now that they've
Right.
gone into death, in death, they are to be respected. It ain't John and Ida. It's
Yes.
Mr. John Henry or Reverend Phillips, Pastor Phillips, and Mother Ida Bell,
Yes.
Mrs. Phillips.
Yes.
Put a handle on it as we were taught.
Yes.
And so he bogarted his way into the house. And I'm looking at him, and then I said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And then he says, the deacon sent him over to the house to talk to the oldest person in the city. I said, "Yes, those are my parents." I said, "But you need to, talk to someone and ask if they would be willing to talk about it." And immediately my mom took offense. She became very upset, as they were told, as I was told, that they were not to talk about Rosewood,
Yes.
because else their homes would be burnt down, and that really was news to me. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? But to actually see the movie, then I began to see and understand what was going on, although some information was not included as it should have been in the movie.
Exactly.
But however, just overall, just letting me know what happened. And then they talked about the people who died and everything in the movie. And I was like, okay, there has to be more people that died than that. But anyway, that person who came to the house, I had to almost literally, command that he leave. I really want, if I was big enough or strong enough, I would have just picked him up and threw him out of the house. But I told him, I said, "Sir, if you don't leave, I'm going to call law enforcement on you." And I said, "You have upset them. Can't you
Right.
see they were upset?" But he was not concerned about them
No.
being upset. He wanted
With
his information
information.
for his story.
Exactly.
But he got out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I'm so glad that I remained, because normally I go and run errands for my parents, come back, fix dinner for them, and they would have been to the house when I got back, and everything. But I'm glad I didn't leave them alone. And but anyway, that person was determined to get that story. But later on, I actually saw the movie to help me understand what was going on, because I still was like, really not really understanding what was going on. I heard a little bit about Rosewood. What is the buzz?
Right.
So after seeing the movie, I saw exactly what happened and who was involved, and everything. And at that movie theater, I was angered, I was saddened, and I was puzzled, bewildered, and I was shocked. It took me about 20 to 30 minutes to gain my composure.
Right.
After the movie was over.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I'm like, all this went on and my parents never told me.
No.
And then I was like, now I understand why they didn't talk.
Exactly.
But that's to be respected. And that's what, if they will have told me a little and said that they weren't supposed to talk, I would have respected that and honored their wishes. But nonetheless, after all of that happened, my parents, getting back a little bit, back to the story of the news reporter at the house, my parents were so upset until I had to, I see it as clear as day. Mom was crying. Daddy's mind was going in and out because he was dealing with dementia.
Plus, they were still afraid.
Yeah.
After they probably had seen the movie.
Right.
Killing, burning houses. They were
Yes.
afraid. Mom, we didn't talk about it until
Yeah.
1982 because we were afraid to talk. We would talk at
Yes.
home among ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
but
so
we didn't talk about it.
talk about it that little bit until like 90, around about the time of the movie. 97 was
97,
the movie. And maybe somewhere in that neighborhood.
Exactly.
Maybe slightly before and most definitely after the movie.
Right.
Or during the time. And my parents, they were really at a point where it was really a sad time. And it's like they had to relive all of this, and I can understand the pain and anguish that they experienced during that time. And also, after actually seeing the movie and everything, and seeing what happened to them, my heart was just really saddened. And even today, I have mixed emotions. Very mixed emotions, and I always wanted to sit down and talk with you.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
so that I
we
can
are.
learn more. And so here we are, and I'm
Here we are.
most honored that you called and asked me sent me the text and asked me to be a part. And
Exactly.
I'm
because-
honored to be here. So it's just more of a learning experience for me,
Exactly.
as well as it being an honored experience. So I just want to thank you for that. But yeah, I'm sure more probably come to me as we talk.
Right, and we have a lot to talk about after this. If you need to come back, we can
Yes.
always set up
That
another
sounds
time
good.
to talk
That
more
sounds wonderful.
about it. Okay, so this is just the beginning.
Just
Okay,
the
this
beginning.
is number 102. This is my 102nd show. Am I right, Zach? 102. 102.
It's 1 or 2, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
1 or 2. Wow.
Yes, and right here. But anyway, we
Yes.
need to take a break right now.
Okay.
So that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Okay.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida
and
and
America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Sebrenah Phillips.
Yes.
The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I am back with Sebrenah, and she is glad, and she is honored, and I am glad that she has agreed to be my guest today. And but first, I want to reach out to our sponsors and give them a special shout out, especially to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill breakfast brunch weekly from 11 to 3 p.m. on the weekend, not weekly, on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. If you're not doing anything, if you want to eat good food, please come by. I was here Saturday, had a wonderful time, and I brought 2 guests from Lake City out of town. So we have made friends in Lake City. They will be back, and they are going to bring family and friends with them. Also, it's time for the Rosewood Scholarships that I give annually to 5 students, 5 seniors. And I want you all to know that DEI, yes, those scholarships are given to 2 whites, 3 blacks. They must be from Levy or Alachua counties because the massacre happened in Levy County, and the majority of the survivors ended up in Alachua County. So we do look out and take care of those students first. Go to rosewoodflorida.com, click on scholarship, Mahalda Gussie Brown Carrier Scholarship, fill out the application. The deadline is April 1 of this year. Okay, don't send the information to me. Don't ask me questions. Go to the website. Also, you can find on the website where you can donate to the scholarship fund, or you can donate to the museum. We are going to build a museum in Archer on 29 acres where the Rosewood teacher and my mom and grandparents were born and they grew up. We purchased this property in 1897. It's still in the family. So we have 29 acres there. We are going to build a Rosewood museum, and we want you to be a part of this museum. We are doing all of this work to make sure the next generation learn their history, know about Rosewood, and contribute. Okay? If you need to do a research, call me. I will help you with your class assignment. I never say no. But I always help because it's important that you know your history, because I am depending on you all to take this information to the next level. I will not be around forever. So make sure you are a part of this history. And we have a fundraiser coming up. I'll tell you more about it on the next show, but tell your parents, your aunts, uncle, grandmother to get a recipe. Put a recipe together, and we're going to do a Rosewood cookbook as a fundraiser.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Okay.
To help make money, raise funds to build this museum. And my mom was very concerned about her sister's life in Rosewood. She was never happy about the outcome of what happened to her. My mom was age 20 in 1923, single, still living at home with her parents. Her sister was 28, 8 years older than my mom.
Okay.
Came home after she was attacked in Rosewood and shared her story with my mom. My mom was too embarrassed to share it with her parents because she was raped. Okay. And back then, you didn't talk about it.
You didn't talk about it
with adults. So yes. She shared it with my mother, and my mom shared it with her 4 children. However, I was the youngest, age 5, 1943. And I remember that story, okay, not in detail, but I remembered it enough to ask her questions later. And like you have already implied, we didn't talk about our business in front of everybody.
No.
That was a special time.
Yes.
So Mom and I developed a mom-daughter Rosewood time.
Okay.
Okay. But she did share with me all of the ugly history and said, you better not forget it. You better remember it.
Yes. Yes.
And as I got older, the job became really overwhelming. I said to
Yes.
Mom, I can't do it. She said if Mom was younger, Mom would do it. I didn't want to because it was painful. Today, it is still painful.
Still painful.
But I enjoy what I am doing because the history needs to be out there. And I have support. Okay. Here where I am today, Steve Spurrier, Freddie Weeby, Meldon Law, and USA Credit Union, those people are very supportive and they help me from one point to the next point. And I appreciate that.
Great.
And my mom said, give most of her credit to the sheriff.
Yes. Yes.
He was a good man.
Yes. That's what I hear.
Yes, well,
That's what I hear.
yes, and had it not been for them, and my mom told me this every day almost, they would have burned the entire town down and killed most of the people.
Everybody.
Everybody. But
Yeah.
because of the sheriff, the store merchant, and the Bryce brothers, they survived. And I tell this part of the story often because people need to know
Of course.
that everybody is not bad. There are some good people out there.
Of course. Most definitely.
And I have to let people know. So she wrote a song for me and said, "Oh, babe, you must sing this song." I can't sing, okay, but this particular verse I like to leave with people because I want people to know, had it not been for the Cedar Key train conductors,
Yes.
okay, that they would have died. So the song goes like this. The Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with a lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plan and round up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock, inform the train conductors just when and where to stop, pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out, and bring them to Archie, Florida, traveling the same old route. Bob Walker and John Wright took on a daring risk, put the survivors on the train, Lord, and sent them off with a kiss. Notified the Gainesville families to be on the lookout for their kin. Told them the train was a-coming and told them exactly when. I enjoy those 3 verses, and it tells her message about people, and because of those people, my aunt survived because she was on
Yes.
that train too. In fact, she was the one holding a lantern to make sure when the train was approaching Rosewood, they would know to stop and pick up the elderly, the children.
Yes.
Yes. And I didn't tell you, but there were also some unsung heroes that got on that train in Cedar Key to be able to help lift the elderly
Yes.
and put them on the train.
Wow.
Well, that's history.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know if you want to add to this at this time. You have my permission to talk about anything else. We'll pick up where we left off.
Most definitely.
Okay.
All I can say that this is, even though it's an honor, it's a learning experience. The more I hear it, the more it's embedded into my heart, my soul, my mind, and my spirit. So as the messages are carried on, I want to be a part of this so that I can help, reiterate the stories and tell a story to somebody else who doesn't know. So again, I'm honored. And this is really, really good, rich history that needs to be told and carried on.
Right, and I'm going to need your recipe and your friend's recipe. And I didn't tell you, Duke Energy, I am doing a lesson on Wednesday of this week with Duke Energy, and they are very supportive.
Okay.
And they are doing a Zoom. When I get home, I'll get your email address. I will send you the link.
Okay.
And you may watch it and you may share it with any of your friends. As
Okay.
I tell people,
Most
it's not
definitely.
about me.
No,
It's about history. It's about how many?
our history.
17 siblings, 16 siblings you have?
17.
17.
Well, 16 siblings. It's 17 total
Okay.
of all of us.
Well, honey, that's a lot. That's a big.
And it's 11 with my mom's with my mom. My
Okay.
dad had 11 kids with her.
Okay.
And the others were from other unions.
Okay.
So
Well, you have a big family to
Yes.
connect. Tell all of them. It's their history, and we don't know who is going to be interested enough to
That's
call
right.
me and say, Miss Jenkins, and I have people call me and ask me, my name is. Am I a member of Rosewood? Sweetheart, I don't know. I need
Yeah.
more information.
yes.
Yes, and many of them are just want to know.
That's right.
Just want to come to Rosewood
Right.
and walk on the property and feel the
Now
energy.
that I have the courage to do it without just falling to pieces, I think I can do it now. I hadn't been there because I just couldn't.
Really.
I just couldn't. And I was asked, did I have relatives? I could.
Yeah.
And I could. I strongly believe that I do because when I hear it, I just feel the pain as if
Yes.
my uncle, my cousin, my grandmother, grandfather, or somebody passed away there.
Exactly.
And again, more passed away than what was said. I don't know, for some reason, I said, first thing I said, there has to be more.
And I don't dispute that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
We don't
I know
know.
who I can account for.
That's right.
Yes, and
Of course.
when people tell me, I listen. Okay.
Of course.
And if they have details, I listen to that also.
Hey, that's right.
I don't
That's right.
record what they tell me. They will have to prove that and put it in their book. But I do listen. I don't
Do
doubt.
listen.
There was a young lady when I first started tours down in Rosewood. Her parents called me from Gainesville, Jacksonville, Orlando,
Yes.
wherever they were picking her up to bring her home. She was in college, and she called her parents and said, "Dad, I got to go to Gainesville. I got to get off my flight there. I got to go to Rosewood."
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
And that girl, she was overwhelmed. She knew.
Yes.
Her parents had no idea, but she knew she had lived in Rosewood. And she told them and she shouted, "Praise God." Was
Yes.
just glad to be on the soil. I'm serious. She was just so happy. I still hear from her. Okay? I still hear from her. They don't know anything about it,
Yes.
the family connection, but she knew.
Yeah.
She told them, "Oh yes, this is my home. Somebody in my family was born here."
Of
And
course.
on the 1st of January of this year, I had family to call me from Washington, and I met them at the historical marker,
Okay.
and they had a wonderful time.
Okay.
Okay, and they brought in other people. It should have been a 1 hour tour. It was like 4 hours. I was so
Yeah.
tired.
Well, this
But
has been wonderful.
I did not leave them uninformed.
Yes.
Yes, I share with people, and that's who I am. And I appreciate back to Spurrier Gridiron Grill breakfast brunch on the weekend.
Yes.
Please patronize him because they go above and beyond.
Okay. Well, I will be back to eat.
Okay.
I love to eat.
And I was privileged this past weekend in eating in this room. I guess this is the celebrity room. But I was here and
Okay.
brought 2 guests, and I had a wonderful time, and I appreciate. Remember to go to rosewoodflorida.com and do a donation. Hit the donate button. We need your funds, and I promise you, our goal is $10 million to get the museum started. And as soon as we raise those $10,000, which is going to be soon, we're going to start on the building. Okay?
Okay.
I am continuously humbled, honored and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, this is my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it.